Okay, ready? Hold on. So we got to do some chazor, right? Hold on. Where's why?
Where did we leave off? I'm sorry.
We left off on the bottom of Vav Amud Beis, not the bottom, like the two dots, Vav Amud Beis. Right? Yes, to them. Who'll be mad? You. Who'll be mad? Okay, so Daf Vav to Chazer, right? Making the Shut V'Sura Goy. Although we did that, we Chazer Vav Amud Aleph. That was yesterday. So Amud Beis, Machlokes was supposed to learn Hilchos Pesach 30 days before or 2 weeks before. And we pointed out that Hanukkah you're supposed to do the same thing. Then the Gemara goes through whether Ein Muktam or B'Torah, whether we say that or not. And if we don't say it, do we not say it from Parsha to Parsha or only from one, or anywhere throughout the Torah? Right? Okay, so then, okay, so now we're on Vav Amud Beis. Actually, a lot of important things in tonight's daf. But I know that Marchuk and Zev Bol and Aaron Kaplan already did the daf right after Shabbos. Okay. So I can say whatever I want about important things. Yeah, but okay, Zok the Gemara. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. At the two dots Vav Amud Beis. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Habaydik tzarich sheyivatom. Right, so somebody who's bedikas, even though you do bedikas, you still need to be mevatel. Right, meaning you check your whole house, you have no chametz, so why do you have a need to be mevatel your chametz? Right, till now we discussed the other way around. If you're being mevatel, why do you need to be bedikas? But this is be bedikas, and then you don't need bittul. So my time, huh? If you're going to say it's because of crumbs, crumbs are not choshev. Right, so they're not choshev. So why would you need to be mevatel your chametz because of that? Which, by the way, so now, what can you learn from this? That crumbs are not choshev, and therefore you don't have to be bedikas chametz after crumbs, which everybody makes themselves crazy during bedikas chametz, cleaning for crumbs. Bottom line is the Gemara here, very beferish, is saying that crumbs are meaningless. So you don't have to get down onto the floor.
The checking of the Sfarim is a waste of time?
Right, so the Sfarim, you're really checking for more than a crumb. You're really looking for more. Listen, there are opinions that hold that, but this Gemara seems to be saying very clearly that crumbs are nothing. Now, the reason why people check Sfarim more than other things is because if you're going to take your sefer to the table and you're going to have a crumb, now that crumb falls into your chametz. We know chametz is not batel. Right, but stam to have, everybody agrees to have ownership of crumbs in your house is a non-issue. That's not a problem.
Everyone learned this year because of COVID. A lot of stuff that we do for Pesach is not always as necessary.
Yeah, that is true. That was one thing that COVID did teach us. Yes, I'm asking to that.
Mr. Yaakov, that's the mice with the Jubin Rav, with Chazaynish.
What, with the Svarim?
Yeah.
Right, a good mice. Yeah. Tell them the mice.
Oh, so the Chazaynish used to lock up most of his farm fields. If he didn't check them, he just locked them up. And somebody came to the Jabina Rav. He says, "We have good news for you, Rebbe. The Chazaynish keeps your safer out for Pesach." He said, "That's a right. He didn't use it a whole year, so he uses it for Pesach."
Right. Very good. Yeah. Anyway, so Chazanish Grata was the most machmer when it comes to Svarim. But this is talking about stam perurin anyway. Okay, so then it says the chitem akiva de minter lahu agabese. You know, you can say, okay, but maybe the crumbs are chashuv because it gets locked in the house. Meaning when you lock your door to your house, for those that do lock the door to their house, right? So you're locking in your crumbs. So that means you're being machshiv with crumbs. About Tanya, and we have a brisa. Seifei te'enim. So the ends of the figs, meaning whatever's left over when it's growing, And the reason why, meaning a guy has, let's go what I've done. A guy, once you're done with most of your fruits in your field and you really don't care about them, so there's no miser.
I mean, I
no
don't understand that
really
line. I also,
Yeah.
I mean, when I lock the door, I also lock the dirt on the floor. But the dirt on the floor is not chashiv to me. I also lock the garbage in the house, and the garbage is not chashiv. So everything in the house is locked. But so that means that everything, the garbage is also chashiv to me?
Maybe if you lock your garbage in your house.
No, I lock my house. I lock the door at night. That means everything that I
Right.
lock at night in the house is chashiv to me. That means the dirt on the floor. That means that that means the garbage. I'm just saying, if you're talking about crumbs, let's talk about other things that are comparable to that. Those are not considered
Maybe.
chashiv, but I lock my door not to protect those things. I protect everything else.
Right. So I think the way Rashi seems to be saying it is that the bottom line is you're locking in your crumbs. That is the bottom line. As strange as that sounds. No? I mean, you're locking in your crumbs, but the truth is, if you keep your garbage in your house overnight and you lock your house, you are being machshav your garbage in a certain sense, no?
It's just it's an objective din. It's not a subjective din. I think that's what you can say, no?
Just because you lock something up,
That's what you have to
don't want
say,
it.
yeah. That's what you have to say.
Yeah,
What?
but because you lock your house doesn't mean that you want that stuff. If you happen to have something in your house you don't really want, but it happens to be there, you're not being machshav it. It just means that it's there and that you didn't take it out. Like let's say you have a garbage bag. Like I have on the other side of this wall here, I have a like a mud room, and when it's freezing cold, I'm not going outside in my pajamas to go take out the garbage. I'll wait until the morning when I'm dressed to take it outside, but I'll put it in the mud room because it gets cold enough. It's not going to stink. It's not going to do any of that stuff. And then in the morning I'll take it out. But I lock the door because I don't want anyone coming in the house. I'm not machshav to that garbage. No, I don't care if someone comes to the house and takes my garbage because then they hate.
Well, maybe a garbologist will come in and he'll do a whole book, put it in the book about you. Go through all your garbage and he'll find out interesting things when he does your biography, like they did with Bob Dylan.
What?
I don't even know how to answer that. I don't even know.
I can't even be gyrus what you
Let's
just
just go
said.
right there. I don't know how to
My point
Rab
is
says the bottom, like Aaron's right, Viter.
because it's in your rishus doesn't mean you're machshav it. It just means it happens to
It's
be.
true, but it's true. You're right. I hear the question. But it seems like Rashi is learning that for whatever reason, if you lock something in your house, it gives it an automatic chashivas.
But it could be because pirurin doesn't necessarily mean garbage. Pirurin, the Gemara and brachos had a machlokes whether it was more than a kazayis or less than a kazayis.
No, that's true, but the Gemara's assumption now is that they're not choshev. And then the Gemara is saying
because
they
it's
are
something-
choshev because you lock it.
Yeah, because they lost the chashivas because you finished the suda, but it's not like it's not something you could pick up at another time. They're still ba'etzem have chashivas. It's not, you're finished with them. But if they stay safe, you'll eat them next time. Fine.
I hear. I don't know. I hear what the Olam's saying. I know what you could do is that you could do with this Gemara. You could, if somebody comes over to your house to sleep for Shabbos or whatever, and you don't really like them, you tell them, by the way, I'm not locking my door tonight because I don't want you to think I'm being machshav you in any way, shape, or form. Right? You tell that to the in-laws or something. They come over. I don't lock our door when you come. That much I take out of the Gemara. That yeah.
Well, once you go in there, does it make a bigger problem for yichud? Usually locking the door makes it better. You're saying here it'll make it worse.
Locking the door from
For
where's
yichud,
the person?
for yichud.
I'm saying that
machshav you.
If you lock the door, it makes it better.
Yeah, locking the door means you can't go there, she can't go there.
I mean, each one locking the door of their rooms.
Yeah, but now if you
Oh, I
lock the
thought
front
you'd
door,
say
it might
that.
make it worse again.
Maybe, enochanami, maybe. Anyways, okay, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for what you're saying. It seems like locking is an automatic chashivas, whatever it is. Okay, but anyways, so now the Gemara wants to ask, right? But who says that's considered chashivas? Because basically the din by Meiser is that if you're already being mafker, if you're at the end of the junk fruit that's left over after you harvest everything, right? So this is talking about a person who has multiple different types of fruits. He has multiple types of fruits in his fields, and he's done with some, but he's still watching the field because of the grapes, let's say. So he's done with the dates, or the figs, and he's still watching for the grapes, right? Or et cetera, et cetera. So that's the question is, does that give it a chashivas? In which case, somebody who steals them is going to be a ganav, and will it require trumas and maaseh? So Vatanya, soifet te'enim, if he's at the end of his figs, but he's still watching his field because of the grapes, which means that he's watching for the grapes and happens to be the figs too. Soifet anavim, more it's the end of the grapes, and because of the gourds or squash, whatever those type of things are. So and when the balabas is makbid, asur mishum gezel, it's also because of stealing. V'chayaven b'maiser, and it's going to be chay b'maiser. Bisman she'ein balabas makbid alein, but when the balabas can care less, like if somebody comes in and starts eating those soifeg, those ends of the grapes or ends of the figs, and he doesn't care, mutar mishum gezel, mutar mishum maiser, then it's going to be mutar for gezel and potter for maiser, because he's not makbid on it. Whatever it is. So what do you see from here? Right? So even though the person is watching it, it's still not considered chashuv. Yeah. So the bottom line is, yeah. So that's so then what are we being mevatel it for? Right? It can't be because of the crumbs, even if you lock your door. So one of the more famous lines from Masechet Pesachim. The reason why you need to is because Shema Yimtza Gluska Yafa, you're going to find a nice piece of cake. And you're gonna, for a moment, Rashi says, your das is gonna be on it, and your whole, and you're gonna say, oh, I like that. So like this, if you're mevatel it and you get rid of it, you say it's ownerless, then it's not yours. So then the Gemara says, so when you find it, then be mevatel it. Right? So meaning, why do you have to be mevatel all your chametz before that? If you happen to find chametz, so you say, oh, I don't want it. Right? So the Gemara answers, the basari surah. Maybe you're going to find it after the Zman Isser. And it's not going to be in his reshus. And he's not going to be able to mevatel. Meaning, in order to be mevatel something and to make it ownerless, it has to be in your property. It has to be under your jurisdiction. If it's not, then you can't be mevatel. So, Mamela the chametz, we're afraid that it's not going to be in your rishus.
Why isn't it in his rishus if he found it in his house?
Oh, so because the next slides. There's two things that are not in somebody's property, but the pasuk made it like it is in the property, meaning you're getting shafted on both ends, meaning it's considered part of your property, so you're going to be chayiv, but you can't get rid of it either.
Does the reason of Shemayim to Gluska mean that Raya that they didn't do a very good bedika?
No, it's just a metzias that the people do find things later on.
I mean, I hear you're saying like you're saying that they didn't. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I mean, in the Hav, I understand crumbs escape your notice, but a fat piece of cake is like. I mean, I guess.
But doesn't it talk when it talks about the gluska yafa? Doesn't it say it's in the rafters? You're not mechayev to check there.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that if you find that. It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. I have every year people asking me they're finding gluska yafas. They are. They do. They find it. As much as we spend hours and hours cleaning, the people find gluska yafas. So I don't know if that's a proof either way. But anyways, so it's saying there are two things that are not in a person's reshus, and the Torah considers them they are in the reshus. So ve'eloin bar b'reshus harabim chametz b'shei shoyes l'mala. Right, a bar in reshus harabim, it doesn't belong to you, but you're liable for it. If you dig a bar in reshus harabim, it's not yours. Like every time a guy wants to be kind of reshus harabim, then we just dig a hole. Right, that doesn't fly. It's not your hole, but somebody falls into it. It's your achrayus. Right. There's no bigger catch-22 than that. And then chametz, mishei shoyes l'mala also. After 6 hours, since it's no longer in your reshus, you are not allowed to be mevatel it, but you're going to be chayiv on it. Right? That's itai. That's the pshat. Because it's no long. Meaning the pshat is because it's asur b'hano now. So then it's asur b'hano. How could you say it's ownerless? You have no power over it whatsoever. Right, so that Tosfos Rashi seem to have machlokes what at 6 hours, beginning of the 6th, end of the 6th, whatever it is, but it's after the 6th hour.
So if it's not in my reshus anymore, then why do I have to worry about it?
That's what the Torah is saying, but because it's yours. It's yours. Meaning you do have to worry about it. You do have to get rid of it, but you can't be mevatel it. That's the pshat. It's not in your reshus.
It's not my ownership that I
Correct.
have it in that I can make it hefker anymore.
Correct. Exactly. Very good. You said that very well. Exactly. Right. It's not there's no ownership, so you have to be an owner in order to make it ownerless, but it's under your responsibility. So therefore, you still have to get rid of it. Yeah, very good. So then the Gemara says, okay, so be mevatel it in the 4th hour, the 5th hour. Why do you got to be mevatel it? Why do you have to be mevatel it later? Right? So kivan the lav zman isurahu, since it's not the zman isur, before, meaning the 4th and 5th hour, v'lav zman biuru, when it's not the time to burn it. Now, obviously, with Rabbanon, we do it earlier, but this is talking about taking the deraisas. Dilma pasha v'loy mevatel. Maybe he's going to be a peshe and he's going to forget. Right? So he's going to be a peshe, he's going to forget, which I found very interesting. Just agav, why is he a pesheya? So if you tell him to do it in the 4th or the 5th hour, so he might forget. That's not pshia, he forgot. Right? Rashi says pasha on the bottom line. He says yishkach, he's going to forget. V'yavai lidei pesha, and then he's going to become to a pshia. Then pshia, how do you translate pshia? He's going to be negligent, right? Shal yidei ma yiska. What's he going to? How's he going to remember? Aval asher shaysev bedikas yiska. Now that he's being Isaac in the bedikas, he's going to remember. He's not going to be negligent. Now this comes up in 2 different areas that I'm not sure how do you deal with it. A guy says, we know the halacha is if you forget to daven mincha, let's say, you daven 2 meiros, right? Or you daven, if you don't daven shachris, you daven 2 minchas, etc., etc. But that's only if you're an oinus. So the shaila that people ask is like, I remembered at 2 in the afternoon to daven mincha. I remembered. Then I said, oh, I'm going to go take this phone call, do this, and then the next thing I knew, I got involved with the business, and I totally forgot. Is that pshia, in which case he can't daven 2 meiros, or was he an oinus? Right? From this is mashma.
Oinus b'shah achron, you saying?
What?
Oinus b'shah achron?
That's what it sounds. I don't know. Again, I just thinking that, and also when women forget to light candles, they say, yeah, I remembered to light candles, then I got distracted, I turned around, it was after shkia. So now they want to know if they have to light another candle. Is that a pshia? In which case, then they have to light another candle, or do we say that it's an oinus, and then they don't have to light a candle? From here, it's mashma that it's a pshia. If you remember earlier, again, I'm not sure. It's just, and there's a lot to do tonight. It was just agav, a thought that I had when I was learning it today. To look at the Rashi and see. Okay, fine. Now to Amud Aleph. Why don't you mevatel it in the 6th hour, right? Yeah. Meaning, when are we being mevatel it? We're doing it twice. Once at the night before, and once when we burn it, right? But mevatel, we'll get to that, right? But mevatel is not tonight. But mevatel is why don't you just be mevatel it at the beginning of the 6th hour, right? And then you're not going to forget. So the Gemara says, "Kivin di surah d'Rabbanan loving." No, since it's already awesome at d'Rabbanan from before the 6th hour, kederaisa dami. So then it's already like a deraisa v'la b'reshus kaima. It's not in reshus. Once the 5th hour is v'loy motzi mevatel, and therefore he's not allowed to be mevatel, right? So therefore, you have to do it at the other times. Somebody who marries a woman from 6 hours into the day and on, even with some sort of wheat that is almost impossible to become chametz, even if you pour water on it because it's so rough, so hard, that we're not concerned for the kedushin. That's what it literally means, meaning the kedushin is no good, right? Because the kedushin happened after the 6th hour. Once it happens after the 6th hour, it's not his money to be mekadosh. It's as if he was mekadosh with nothing. Yeah. Fine. So that's what we're saying. So you got to be. The bottom line is the reason why you have to be mevatel the chametz is because you might find a nice piece of cake, and you might think, oh, I want to eat that cake. In which case, it's going to be also. And you can't do it after the 6th hour because it's no longer in your reshus. And really, from the 5th hour, you can't be mevatel. Yeah. Now they're going to ask on that. After Zman Issa, you're not allowed to be mevatel. This is some lucky fellow over here, right? He's sitting in Besmerich Erev Pesach. And then he remembers he had chametz in his house. So what does he do? Mevatel beliboy. He's allowed to just be mevatel it, and that's it. He doesn't have to run home. Echad Shabbos. This is whether it's on Shabbos or whether it's ve'echad Yom Tov, whether it's on Yom Tov. Okay, so what exactly is the scenario? Because a Bishlam Shabbos, like this year, Mishkachas L'Gagan Shechol Arba Asaliyos B'Shabbos, where the 14th day falls out on Shabbos, right? So therefore, what's the guy supposed to do? So he could be mevatel. Hela Yom Tov Basar Isurahu, but if it's regular Yom Tov, right? It's already after the Zman Isser, meaning this could be when Erev Pesach falls out on Shabbos, right? So it could be sitting in Bismillah Shabbos morning before chatzos. So we're saying he doesn't have to go home; he could just be mevatel it, and there's no problem because it's before chatzos, right? But if it's on a regular Yom Tov, right, then it's after the Zman Isser. How can he be mevatel it, right?
You need to be in the presence of it when you're mevatel it?
No, you don't. That's what he's saying. You don't have to be mevatel.
So why would I ever think he would need to go home?
Bichlal.
I'm just saying, if you don't have to be in, he knows he remembers he has a piece of chametz at home, so he's in the base medrash. Why would he leave, pick up and leave and go home? Just be
get rid of it.
No, we have
to get rid of it.
You have to get rid of it. But what about what you're asking is why do you ever have to do it? Just do bittul. That's what you're saying, right? Just do bittul. Why do I ever have to check my house? Right, so no, because the Chachamim Masakin, you have to be bedikas. I'm assuming that this case is where he put it away to have for breakfast Erev Pesach morning, and then he forgot about it, and then he remembered, oh, I got this piece of chametz over there. So we're saying that he can be mevatel just that specific piece. Right?
Can a masker do this instead of doing bedika?
What do you mean?
If someone's masker is a bias, right? We had a case, I think on Daf Daled.
We mean the masker, he
forgot to do bedika. Yeah, I mean, if he forgot to do bedika, let him just be mevatel everything, and then the seich and the masker don't have any issues.
Yeah, but somebody has to be bedikas the house. You can't live in a house that there was no bedikas chametz, right? That's why I think that here the case is that he did bedikas chametz, but he knows he has a piece of somewhere hiding. He hid himself a Danish from the family that he could have on Erev Pesach by morning, his last Danish or whatever it is, and then he remembered that he still had it, so he'll be mevatel that specifically.
It's a bit just to protect you if you forgot something.
Correct.
The chiddush is that he doesn't have to go there and take care of it, or that he can be mevatel beliba. He doesn't have to say it b'peh.
I think either one or both. Right? I mean, why does it say beliba? Yeah, so that's a shayla. I mean, some say it means dafka, it's a chiddush. Others say it's nothing, right? You just,
if he knows it before Pesach, why shouldn't he have a chiyuv to go get rid of it? Why is it enough to be?
It's true, he does have to. I think he does. But he doesn't. Either he doesn't have time. I think the pshat is we're going to have this case later also, where a guy's in the middle of oil l'regel, and then he remembers he has chametz, so he can't get back there in time. So what do? Is you mevatel it. But the Gemara is saying, what if this is after the Zman, so it's mashal, it's after the Zman. So
isn't that what we make? Isn't that what we say in the beer? Isn't that what we say in the beer, chametz?
What?
It's what
we know about what we don't know? Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
So then you don't have to be
bedikas.
But then you don't have to be bedikas. I'm saying that you don't have to worry about that it wasn't bedikas. Anything in your possession that you know about or don't know about, you mevatel. It's hefker.
That's true, but we said already that there's a chiyuv bedikas chametz anyways.
Yeah,
because we're afraid that your bittul is no good
on the person. You once told me it's on the person, not on the house, right? Each person has to be bodikas where he is,
right?
So if he remembers that his house he didn't check, then he could just say the tefillah. Why is that such a chiddush?
No, meaning he can't get it home.
He doesn't need to get home. He could just be mevatel where he is.
No, because you have a thing that you have to get rid of all your chametz. We don't just rely on bittul. We do both. We have to do both. L'chatchila, you got to do both. You got to do bedika, bittul, beer. You got to do the whole deal. We require everything.
Bittul twice.
Bittul twice, yeah. Okay, so anyway, so bottom line is the Gemara thinks that this guy was able to be mevatel chametz on erev Yom Tov after 6 hours. So then the Gemara says, no, it's talking about a different case. We're talking about a Talmud who's sitting in front of his Rebbe, and he remembers that there's no kneaded dough going in his house, meaning dough that's getting ready to be baked, right? And he's afraid that it's going to become chametz, right? So kadam meaning if you bake it, then it's not going to become chametz. So kadam mevatel mekamei de chametz. He's being mevatel it before it turns into chametz, right? Nobody can understand this this type of scenario nowadays because who in heaven's name is making matza on Pesach, right? That's because we don't have confidence. But theoretically, you could make matza on Pesach. It's just dangerous because if you end up letting it sit for too long, now you got yourself chametz, right? But that's what happened here. So the guy's being mevatel before it turns into chametz. So that's considered in his rishus. The dough's in his rishus because it's perfectly fine dough, right? That's the scenario. So they economically don't know. It says he was sitting inside the bismerish, right? So shma mino, meaning it's because he's sitting in bismerish, not because of anything else, right? So therefore, shma.
That would imply though that he would know that it's becoming chametz. So no.
Well, he's afraid that maybe he's afraid somebody was supposed to take care of the dough and it didn't happen, or he was supposed to.
But he's
that's
not
really
there.
what I think. That's really what he's saying.
But he's not there. How would he know? I mean, like, can he like in the case that someone does and I'm mevatel the chametz, even though he's not there, he doesn't know what's going on in his own home?
No, meaning he I guess he forgot about it, and now he's sitting in front of his Rebbe. Right, so the Gemara is making a diak. It says that the reason why it said he's sitting in bismerish is because he's in front of his Rebbe. Otherwise, he would have ran home and baked the matza. Right? He had an option.
I don't understand how this is an answer. If he was sitting in front of his Rebbe and maybe Chalila, he's about to break an over deraisa, right? He's gonna be over an Isser deraisa. But no, I'm just gonna let it happen. But like,
so you see what he does for kavod bracha.
Simon, so you don't know what a chassid is. Simon, so you don't know what a chassid is. It's fine. You don't have to know. But
can I hear an answer? Can I hear an actual answer, please?
Go ahead. That's what Rashi says.
Yes, Rabbi Stein.
But that's what Rashi says. Because of the reverence for his teacher, he cannot simply walk out to go home and bake it. That shows you the chashivas that he had.
I understand. Well, Simon, what are you saying?
My question is, yes, I'm aware that you have to have a certain chashivas for your Rebbe and all that stuff.
Oh, you're asking what takes precedence, chashivas for Rebbe or over an Isser deraisa?
You're literally over an Isser deraisa that has an inus of kares. But okay, fine. Yeah, I'm sorry, Rabbi Stein. I'm sorry. I love you immensely, but guess what? I don't want kares. I'm gonna run home quickly. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say, you see that? It's a limited relationship. You're not willing to die for me.
See, luckily you have a phone and you can continue the daf while you're going nowadays. So you don't have an excuse.
Phenomenal. It's a real, okay, whatever.
No, you're asking a good question, Simon. So first of all, the raya that you could bring from this is maybe taka. Maybe that's what kavod Torah has to be. Maybe.
Maybe it's Rabbi Muvik.
Wouldn't that be an inus? No,
that would be an inus.
Legitimate inus?
That's true. No, but I think the pshat is but Simon, you're not going to be. I think that's gufo. You're being mechamen. You're saying the pshat
he's doing bittul. He's not getting all bent out of shape like Simon.
Right. No, that's what he's saying. No, the meaning
that's not happening to him. Chas v'sholem, Simon.
Right. That's what it is. I think Simon, you're hitting it on the head. Exactly what the Gemara's teretz is that the Gemara is trying to prove that even though he has a way out, which is he can go home, but you can do bittul. Why should he mess with his Rebbe, the cover of his Rebbe? Bittul is so strong that it takes care of it.
The bittul, which is a derabanan, can
the bittul works as long as he's being mevatel it when it's still kosher lepesach, then that works. Yes, you're right. That is exactly what the Gemara is proving. To the extent that bittul works so strongly when it's before it's chametz that it will eliminate the chiyuv of of chorus. Yes, that's exactly. I think you hit it on the head. That's
So
exactly what it is.
here's a cover of the Torah. I'm going to take your word for it because it sounds backwards to me.
Okay, you're back in the fold, Simon. Even though you won't take a bullet, but you're back. All right, we're back in the love scene. Okay, all right, fine. But but I think that's what the Gemara is saying. All right. Anyways, weiter. Omar Rav bar Rav Huna, Omar Rav. Then we get into an interesting case. So to go loud. Please come in or out, but please shut the door. Thank you. Omar Rav bar Rav Huna, Omar Rav. Hapasha ifsha. And there's a Lamdish Gemara here. We're gonna have a lot of this week. We're gonna have a lot of Lamdish Gemaras this week. Yeah. So this is the first one. Hapasha ifsha kivin sheripsa matza. So bread you find a pas that's decayed, right? So what's the story? Is it matza that decayed or is it chametz that decayed? If it's chametz, you have a problem. If it's matza, you have no problem. So kivin sheripsa matza muteres. Since normally you keep more matza in that box, right? This is talking about a bread box. So the Gemara is saying that you consider it matza. Since that's mostly what you keep in there on Pesach, you keep matzah. So I'm going to ask, what's the case? If you know, obviously, that this piece was chametz, who cares that there was a lot more matzah kept in the box? You happen to know that you obviously didn't do a good bedikas chametz and you left some matzah in there. Or it must be talking about where you don't know whether it's chametz or whether it's matzah. So then my ear ki rips a matzah. Then who cares if there was a lot more matzah kept there? I feel ki loy rips a matzah. Even if there's not more matzah in there, nami nasal basar basra. Why don't you go with what the last thing that you kept in the box is? Yeah, what does that mean? Mi loy tanan. Did we not learn in the Mishnah? Yeah, this is very interesting how we analyze this. If you have the money that's normally found in front of the people that sell animals in Yerushalayim, that's obviously not obvious, but la'olam ma'aser. That's always going to be considered ma'aser. Meaning, if you find money in front of the animal salesman in Yerushalayim, now the shaila is that ma'is chulin, in which case you're allowed to benefit from it, or is it hektish? So the Gemara is first saying that if the money was found in front of the animals, right, the people that sell the animals, then we're going to say that's meiser, because what do people do with their money? They take their meiser money and they bring it up to Yerushalayim because they have to, the meiser sheni, they have to spend in Yerushalayim. So the assumption is the money fell from that. But on the harabayis, we say it's chulin, right? Once the money falls on harabayis, then it's chulin. And Yerushalayim, then in Yerushalayim it depends. B'shas haregel meiser. During the shas of Yom Tif, it's Meiser. The rest of the year, it's Chulin. Okay, we're not finished with the Raya yet. Because why is this? Because we know that they sweep the streets of Yerushalayim every day. Right? I'm not so sure they do that anymore, right? But that's, I guess, one way back when they did sweep the streets every day.
The shuk they sweep every night. The shuk, Machane Yehuda, they sweep.
Oh, you're saying they still sweep?
When I was there,
okay.
I'm saying not this last time. When I was there, when I was in yeshiva, they used to send trucks with power washers.
So I take it back then. Okay. So anyways, fine. So Hayol B'Shuke Yerushalayim, they're swept every day. Alma Amrina Kamoy Azale. So what do we say? That the first go away. Kamoy Azale, meaning if it was during Aliyah L'Regel, so then you have to be worried. If it's not during Aliyah L'Regel, then not. Why? Because everything gets swept away. Whatever's there now, we don't assume it's old. Again, Alma Amrina Kamoy Azale. What was there before is gone. These are from the later ones. So Hachanami name a Kama Azal. Here too, when we're not sure whether this piece that's in the bread box is bread or matzah, why don't we just say the bread, the chametz is gone. And this piece came now, right?
When we say Safek Dareis of the Chumrah, and since chametz isn't batal in matza, why are we having this conversation?
You mean because it's I don't know if this is called your classic Safek.
We're not sure if it's chametz or matza.
Right. So I'm saying that's called.
You're saying that it's a fact. It's not a suffix here. They're making a fact.
No, but the question, no, it's definitely a suffix. No,
because they sleep it, so it's not there. So it's a fact. That's exactly.
I mean, these chazakas take care of the suffix. That's what you're saying. That's what you have to say. What Yossi's saying, that's what you have to say. That there's a suffix, and now we have something that's mochiach that's no longer a suffix.
All right, could we leave matzah over from one Pesach to the next if we put it in the closet?
Can you? You can, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can, yeah. Yeah, people do it and then you put it into the oven or whatever. And I'm not saying it's the greatest tasting thing in the world, but every Pesach we open up. Every Pesach we eat some matzah. We say, "Hey, I think this is from last year." No. What do you say, Yossi?
Ask Aaron Kaplan. I think they sold it half price.
Ask Aaron Kaplan. That's yeah. But you're right. The truth be told that it's really a suffix. But let's hold off on that for 2 more days, because the Gemara is mamash going to go through with the suffix of the suffix the rice of sveikus of chametz and not. But here we're saying l'chayra that these have chazakas that we say whatever was there is gone.
But we're dealing with
or the dovi, yeah.
We're dealing with decayed question mark whether it's chametz or matzah, yeah. Right. So far, the Gemara hasn't yet once asked how far it's decayed. Meaning, if it's decayed to the point that it's not really chilkas, we're talking about nothing.
Very good. Well, you mean if it's obviously right. That's a good point. It can't be so decayed. Right, you're right.
Right. You would think in the analysis of this case, you would think that'd be the first thing to point out. What does the case refer to in the decayed?
Right. You're saying because even though the Gemara is going to discuss it now, but it should have, before it even goes to this would be the first question. I hear that's a good question.
The Gemara is going to actually go into it now.
Yeah. You mamash mechavan to the Gemara. I thought you were asking even no. You mamash mechavan. So let's see. Sashani hachati fushim.
I think I was going to ask what you thought he was going to ask.
I mean, why didn't you just?
It's decayed. How are we using a chazaka to say it's the latest when the thing itself decayed. Tells us it's not the latest? Yeah.
Right. Well.
No, the shaila supposes it's old matzah. If it's brand new matzah, it wouldn't be decayed. So it must be talking about, like Itai was saying, last year's matzah.
But then you're saying it's not the basra. The problem is the chazaka says it's the basra.
Right.
Because you took your last year's matzah and took it from the closet where you put it away into the bread box for Pesach.
Right. The problem, what we're looking to do here, and this is always where it gets complicated. We need it to be a suffix enough that it's a shaila, but not as too much of a suffix that it's not a shaila. Right. So we're trying to fit it right in the middle, where it's not simple the answer, and it's complicated enough that it's a shaila.
I mean, the whole thing is a little bit. But I'm not understandable. It's a bread box. Like, isn't that the first place you check for chametz? Don't we say everyone's a chaver by bedikas chametz?
Right, that's true. Box? Right, so you'd think, right? You would think that they would clean that out. But that's goofa part of that problem. That's goofa the shiloh of the Gemara. Does it have a chazaka that it gets cleaned out or not? So the Gemara right now is thinking it does. We always say whatever was there and it's gone.
But I was saying to answer Gershi's question.
Right. So the problem is then how did it get so decayed? Right. Which exactly. Let's see the Gemara. The Gemara will answer some of these. So Shani Hognemar says the Fushim Machiach. Here we're talking about where normally we would say these sveikas. We'd say that the stuff that was there is gone, and this is new stuff. But the problem is that it's decayed. So if it's decayed, that's something negative. That's a reyes. So that says to us maybe this is chametz. So Gemara says, so if the decay is proving it, ki ribsa matzah, my hobby, so then who cares that there's more matzah there, that we usually keep matzah in this box, right? Bottom line is it's decayed and it looks like it should be old enough that it should be chametz. So then the Gemara says, ribsa matzah. So now we're changing this case. We're saying it's not talking about where there's more matzah there. It means that it's been so many days of Pesach. So then it's like the 6th day of Pesach, let's say, where even the matzah could have spoiled. So now we don't know. Meaning it's not talking about the first day Pesach. And a chanami, if, like the Olam is saying, if it was the first day Pesach, then you have to be concerned, like, hey, how did this thing spoil so fast? But now we're talking about where it's the 6th day, so it's a real suffix, and then we could say it. So then
and that's like we said before, they're baking their matzah fresh every day.
Like back then, it seemed like the minute was to bake fresh.
Right, I'm saying that's
seems like it. Yeah, we got much frummer over the generations.
I think also there's the concept of Sephardi matzahs, where they're more like pizza than anything else. Is probably
That's
what
exactly. I was
had.
about you, Simon. You stole the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say back then, I believe that their matzahs look like pizzas, and we're just, ours is slowly turning into more cardboard every year.
We're far from.
I'm saying the Hillel sandwich is a raya that it was a Sfard, that it was a lafa.
Right, that's true too.
It's not just that, Tzviago. Have you ever had the Sephardi ones?
I have it during the rest of the year, I think.
I mean, if he's not Sephardi, he never had it.
No. The reason I say is the Sephardi ones last. I think part of maybe what it is, the Sephardi ones don't last more than 24 hours, and they turn to rocks.
Oh, so very good. And that's enough, right? Very good.
And then Ashkenazim can eat them after.
It can only improve.
They do. I remember what's the name told me they keep them in the freezer and they take them out right before they eat them because they moms don't last at all.
So then very good. So then that's a riot to this Gemara. Very good. So then the Gemara said very good. So then Gemara says ihachi pshita. So then the Gemara says if it's on the 6th day, then it's pashut that you can call it matzah. Why shouldn't you think it's matzah? If it decays so much, it's already the 6th day. So why would you even have a clair? Right? I'm saying if you go into your kitchen and you see something getting moldy on Pesach, right? So you say, do you think that there's a suffix that should be chametz? Why would you think that it's chametz? That's what Gemara is saying here. If it's at the end of Pesach, so why would you think it's chametz? So Gemara says, pshita. No, it's really, really decayed. Okay, now we're getting to like yeshiva guy, dormitory level decays. Like you got to start thinking, like, okay, how decayed is decayed, right? Then you got to bring in the yeshiva bachram to figure this out. Edible, not edible, how unedible, how old, right? Anyways, let's do the pusha meruba. The Mao, the same Mikva, the pusha meruba, since it's so decayed, so then it must for sure, it's got to be chametz if it's so decayed. Kamash Malan. No, kivan sheroba you may matzi love since it's been so many days. I'm reading kol yom v'yom and nama chamima afa. Elio, this is mamish sounds like what you're saying. We must say that every day they must have baked new matzah. The shadei love and they threw it on top of this one. If shetvei and that made it decay. Right. So therefore, so clearly you see from this that they baked matzah, and then that the new challah, the new matzah is challah. The new matzah is making it decayed. Then the Gemara says,
it looks like the Gemara was mechaven to you. We're talking about Bachram here. The Gemara used the word chametz ma'al yehu.
I hear.
We're talking about something moldy, it's chametz ma'al yehu.
I don't know that. I hear. Okay. So I don't know if they consider it ma'al yehu, they just tolerate it. I don't know. Okay, fine. So the Gemara says, do we go? Who says we go after the last thing? A teva is another word for a tzedakah box, right? And you have a box that they put in mois chulin and mois maisa into it. So im roiv chulin. If it's roiv chulin, then we can. If the roiv of the money that goes into this box is chulin, so we consider it chulin. Im roiv maisa. If it's roiv maisa, then it's maisa. So says, why are you going with Roiv? Just say find out who's the last person to put in tzedakah into the box, or put money into the box, and ask him, was this tzedakah money or was this chulin money? It shouldn't go with what the most usage is. You're using both. And you didn't know which one is at the end. But if you knew which one you put in last, and then obviously you would go with what was put in last. That's one teretz. No, it's talking about where within the box itself, there's two piles. There's the chulin pile and the meiser pile. I don't know. That doesn't sound like such a wise way of doing making a tzedakah box. Two piles within one box, but that's what it's talking about. So therefore, you can't prove it from the last thing. With Papa, the box had a little hole in it, and you found it in the hole. So you have no idea which one it is, right? So that's why we have a suffix in that case. So basically the point is the Gemara's maskana is that you do enechaname, you go with what was placed last. That you do, without a doubt, right? But the scenarios here, we're talking about where you wouldn't be able to tell. Either there's three terutzim, either because you don't know which one was put in last, or there's two piles in there, one of chul and one of meiser, so you don't know. Even if you put it in there last, you still don't know where this money came from, which pile. Or it was stuck in a hole, so you have no idea how it got stuck into that hole. Fine. Okay, so that's the lamdasha part of the Gemara. Now we get into now it's more easy to daf. So Amar Rabbi Yehuda, somebody who makes bedikas chametz like every other mitzvah, you gotta make a bracha. My mevatel, what's the bracha? Rav Papa Amar b'shmei derava levaer chametz. Asher Kedushan says it's on levaer chametz. Rav Papa Amar b'shmei derava al biur chametz, not le. You say al biur chametz. Bilevar, the lashon of levar, which means to get rid of the chametz. Kuli amalei pligi. Nobody disagrees. The vade lahaba mashma. That's mashma. That's coming up. It's in the future, meaning I am going to get rid of my chametz. Right? Ki pligi be'al bir. The question is, if you say al on chametz, right? About it's about getting rid of the chametz. Marsavar meikara mashma. One holds that al bir sounds like it already happened. Marsavar lahaba mashma. Al bir sounds like it's going to happen, right? So, okay. Now, when do you make the bracha? Before you do it, right? So you would think le. So basically, what comes out is le. When you make a bracha before the mitzvah, which is what we're going to discuss, that's what we do. Then le for sure works. The question is, does al work when it's before, right? So marsav meikara mashma, marsav lahaba mashma. Yeah. So meisvei. Baruch Hashem, al hamila, right? That's the bracha that we make al hamila. So you see clearly that you're using al hamila even though the bris wasn't done yet, right? It should be, according to Rav Papa, it should be limila, right? So why are you making al hamila? So hasam hechi name, what should you say? Name a lamel to give a bris, which sounds like you're mechuyev to give the bris. Lo saged alav iumaho. Is it not enough that he is the one to give the bris? Meaning, normally it's a mile, right? He's not mechuyev to do the milah. It's the father's mechuyev to do the milah, not the mile. So how can you say lamol sounds like I was commanded to do the milah? You know, you're not. You're just a hired mile. If you're hired, not hired. It's the mile doesn't have the chiyuv. I mean, the father has the chiyuv, right? Yeah. So the Gemara answers, Avia ben ma'ikal amen. We're good. So what about the father? So maybe the father, when he does it, should say lamel and a chanami. So the Gemara answers, yes, you're right. The father should say lamel, according to Rav Papa at least.
The shaliach doesn't have a chiyuv to give the bris once he is made a shaliach. Sorry, once he's made a shaliach, he doesn't have a chiyuv.
I mean, he could back out of the shlichus and tell him he didn't do the shlichus. No.
And until he does.
Until he does, I don't know. Is that called that's not a chiyuv mitzad the milah. It's a chiyuv mitzad that he agreed to do something. That's what I would think. That's what I would think. But it's interesting. The second tosfos down here. A lot of interesting tosfos here. Tosfos second one down says, but a ger, right? That's all to be boil a yid, a kid, but to be boil a ger, then it should be lomel. So because everybody's mechuyev, a ger, we're all mechuyev to make sure that he has a bris. It's not. There's nobody specific. So and the chanami, then you could.
It's not on the ger himself. It's our chiyuv on him.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good guy. He can't give himself a bris. So
the chiyuv on bezdin.
It's a chiyuv, which means everybody. Ba'atzim.
Everyone.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, this is not halach l'maisa.
Why is it a chiyuv on bezdin? Why?
Because Bezin has to take care of.
He's not a yid yet.
But he plans on becoming a yid, I think.
He's not a yid yet.
Right, so it's a chiyuv on somebody. Tysus is learning it's a chiyuv.
I don't know.
He was Megayer. He was Megayer.
No, not till he has bris. He's not a yid. No.
Well, maybe he.
Okay, according to those Rishonim that say he's not. Okay, we'll just talk about that. Okay?
Tysus isn't one of them. Tysus says the
okay,
tefillah is
so Tysus is not one of them.
Someone can't become a ger.
He's going with the other Rishonim.
A person can't become a ger if he's not able to have milah.
You mean stam for whatever reason?
So whatever it is, a health thing. Whatever it is. Let's say there's a chazak on his family that two other tried to become gay and they both died. I don't know. When they're
no, I hear.
It's like if milah is milah ma'akev the geirs, If he can't have one?
Yeah, I hear. I don't know.
Well,
once Basin teaches him all the halachas, they're mechayiv to take him to the finish line.
Judah, if it's not, then for
bris.
sure nobody has a chiyuv. If it's not makah, for sure nobody has chiyuv to make that bracha. You just prove fakert.
Right, meaning that's no right. I hear that. Ita, what do you want to say?
I just said that if Basin has the chiyuv to teach him all the halachas to become a yid, they have a chiyuv to take him to the finish line and give him a bris.
I don't know if they have. Do they have a chiyuv for that?
Well, if a father doesn't give a son a bris, and it falls on, and if not on the mother, then it falls on the Basin to give him a bris. No.
Right. That would be later on.
Even after the kid is bar mitzvah, it's a chayiv on the Basin.
I don't remember. I'm getting mixed up. I'm thinking in my head pidyon ben. How does it go? Pidyon ben. I think it becomes a chiyuv on him.
You're mixing up if the kid's born Jewish. You're mixing up if the kid's born Jewish versus a ger. Someone who's a ger has no chiyuv to have a milah until they get to the point of milah.
Right.
Right. And meaning like if the father doesn't do it, and the mother doesn't do it, and the Beis Din doesn't do it, and then they wait until the kid is 13, 18, whatever that threshold is. Okay, then it's on him, right? But someone who's a ger, even if the Beis Din teaches him all the halachas of being a yid and all of that stuff, and he can still back out up until the point that they do milah, the mikvah dip and the milah.
No, but that's not the question. The question is whose chiyuv is the milah? Is the milah the chiyuv on him or the chiyuv is on the Beis Din?
Right, but the meaning, I hear what you're saying, but the problem is that the mitzvah of milah on a ger, I don't think would fit in this case. On a yid that wasn't megayah, the father died or whatever, that's a different story. But a ger is a different story. He has no mitzvah to have a milah until he becomes a Jew. So it wouldn't fit in this case to begin with. No one has a chiyuv until
I hear.
Have a chiyuv.
Right. Okay. Interesting. I'm not sure.
Simon, you mentioned a moment ago. Though, that he needs the tefillah as well. So most probably the tefillah is the closing document, and the ma'aseh then he's mechuyev milah. It kicks in. It only starts the chiyuv that he's an RL. Only starts post mikva.
I'll tell you what happened to me. I had the hatavas dam bris, and then I went into the mikva. That was the giur l'chumra, because whatever reasons, right? But and so that's how they do it. You don't do mikva and then mila. It's the other way around. So there's no chiyuv to do. There's no chiyuv to do it. The Beis Din can theoretically back out, or the goy can back out up until the point that it's done. Meaning, but someone who's born a Jew and just doesn't have milah can't back out. They have to have it done until ad mevesrim. They have to have it done. If they don't have it done at that point, that's a different story. But
I hear. Okay, very good. Okay, I'm not sure. I would say I have to look into it, but I don't know if it's. I don't know if I will have time, but whatever it is. Okay, let's see. It's getting a little late, but yeah, fine. We go. So meisvei. Now we go through other brachos. Baruch Hashem kedushan mitzvos al hashchita. Right? You say al hashchita. So why not say lishchita? Hasamnami heichi name a name of lishchait. What are you going to say? Lishchait. Loi sagi delavi yushachit. Is there a chiyuv on you to shech this animal? There's no chiyuv on you to shech this animal. Right? You want to eat meat. You like meat. Right? So then you got it. Then you shech. There's no chiyuv. So they want to ask obvious question. Pesach u'kachim. What about the korban Pesach and kachim? There you do have a chiyuv to shech it. So what it says in a chanami. So in a chanami you would do live. Fine. Meisvei. It's a lulav la'atzma. If you make the lulav for yourself, meaning when you're putting it together, which we don't do now. We do it when we just make the bracha when we take it. Not to lotzes by, but when you take it to be yaitza. So you see, you're saying al shani hasam to be idna the agbar nafik bay. No, there it's different because right when you picked it up, you already yaitza. Right. So since you were yaitza. Right, so therefore you can say al, which could also mean retroactive. Right, so then the Gemara's so Taisus right? Again, I'm sorry to say a famous Tosfos, but the third Tosfos down says, okay, so if you picked it up and you already yaitza, how do you make the bracha? You already did the mitzvah, and we're going to say in a few lines that you have to make the bracha before the mitzvah. So Tosfos says, "V'im time the third Tosfos, keep into nafka. Since you yaitza, hech yivarach, v'alei tzarich levarach, over lasi yasa, you have to do it first." By Marie, avagav the nafak akati oisik b'mitzvah shetzarich lenanea b'kriyas halal. You're still being oisik in the mitzvah because you have to shake the lulav by halal. Therefore, you could still make the bracha. Right, so we all know, right? Everybody makes mishuga, turn over the lulav before you turn over the esrig, so that you're not being yoitza, right? That's the reason. The reason is for this, so that you can make the bracha before. But even if you did carry it, even if you did pick it up right side up, you still can make a bracha because your mitzvah is not done. You still have the mitzvah to shake it during the during halal. So the Gemara says, if you're saying now that when you picked it up you already yaitza, it should say yatza by me boy. It should say you were yaitza, right? Not if he picked it up to be yaitza. So Gemara says enochanami since the Gemara wanted to say in the sefer leishei b'sukkah tana reishanami latzis by, just that it was using the same two lashonis, even though it may not necessarily be the same thing. The Gatani sefer. Somebody makes a sukkah for himself, which again we don't do. We don't make the shechianu when we build it. The halach bottom line is hilchasa al biyur chametz. That's the Gemara's coming. So you say al biyur chametz, which is what we do. Now this is one of my most favorite tosfos. I'm sorry again for doing a tosfos. It's 9 o'clock already, it's late, but. The Hilchas coming up Chanukah, we want to be Yaitz also Hilchas Chanukah, right? 2 weeks before. So what bracha do you make Chanukah? Lehadlik, not al hadlik. Al hadlakas ner Chanukah. Why? Here we're saying the halacha is you say al bir, which is what we do by right? We say leishei b'sukkah, not al yeshiva sukkah, right? What else can we go through? We say al netilas lulav. So some are al, some are le. Rabbaran, this is for you, Rabbaran. This is mamish for you. Some are al, some are le. So what do you mean? Hilchasa, the Gemara says, the halacha is al bir chametz. We finally have a Gemara that tells us what the bottom line is, and we still do half and half. Right? So zok the Tosfos, you look at the Tosfos, the hilchasa al bir chametz. You meaning what the Gemara says, it's the fifth Tosfos down. It's just kedai to look at this Tosfos. Yachol hu loymar kain, meaning you're able to say al bir. It doesn't mean you have to say al bir. You have the ability to say it. Sha'af zeh haloshen mashma lahaba, right? That this lashon is also mashma in the future. Aishema dafka al bir chametz v'yesh tam brachos, or is it that it's dafka al bir chametz and then there's tam brachos? Okay, I don't know, whatever that means, but the last line here, v'ri loy matza tam, v'ri loy matza tam l'chol brachos. The ri could not find tam, any reason why. Some we say al and some we say le. Shine. If the ri couldn't find the reason, so we don't have to search any further than that either. But the bottom line is that it seems like I don't even know what to say. To be honest, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Yeah. I looked up and I thought the Mishabura discussed why we say lahadik ner shel Chanukah. He doesn't discuss it. I thought I saw that somewhere, but I looked tonight. I couldn't find it. Okay, we're almost done. We'll go to the two dots. So the Gemara says
tefillin and al mitzvos tefillin.
Taka. That's a good point, Peretz. Yeah, there we mamish confused, right? We do one lahaniach and one is I hear. Very good. Peretz, very good.
And the haniach is more chomer in that situation.
That's true, because lahaniach mean the al could be going on the shal yad. That's what you're saying, Aaron.
We say laniach on the shal yad.
No, I'm saying, but the al, when you're making on the shorosh, is already a suffix brachos bichlal, right?
Correct.
That's what we say baruch shem. Some say baruch shem, right? So
it's also much more vague bracha. The main bracha is obviously on the one the shal yad. It's covering shal yad and shorosh. The second one is like, we're making a bracha. Got to figure out something to say.
Okay, so I don't know. So al.
That's why the Sfardim don't say the second one.
Right. Well, yeah. So, but maybe this answers it because
davening takes so long by them, they don't have time for another bracha.
Well, they also sit down. They also sitting when they do it.
And Laniach is going on that I'm about to do the mitzvah, and Al that I just finished completing the mitzvah.
Well, Al does both. That's what we're saying. Al could be mashma both. Al could be past.
Al mitzvah.
Hey, that's another one.
Al mitzvah
after the Natila.
Yeah. So now we're going to get to Natila Sidayim now in a minute because there's more confusion here about how to learn out from the Gemara. So then the Gemara says the Kulei Al Amiyas. Mia may karabin and levruche, right? Minala. Everybody, all opinions. You have to make a bracha from the beginning, meaning before you do the mitzvah. Minala. Again, another confusing lashon. Every bracha you make over. Now, what does over normally mean? When you passed it, right? So these are the things that come from when I was a kid, when I was hearing this over lasiyasan. I'm trying to get it right on the test. Okay, over lasiyasan means I make the bracha before after. So over means past. So l'chayra, I make the bracha after. No, over lasiyasan here means before. Okay, shine. Okay, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm sorry for letting out on my school, whatever, my testing or whatever, lack thereof, whatever it is. So over here means before you do it, right? My mashra the high over lishna dakdumayu. So where do you get it that the lashon over means before? Right? He passed over the kushi. So you see, vayavar means he went before him, meaning he didn't pass him, he left before him. Right? Then he went before them. And they went in front of him, and Hashem was barashim. Okay, yeah. So those are the three times that we say over means before. Beirav says you do it except two places that you make the bracha before: Tvila, meaning mikva, and shofar. So the Gemara says, Bishlam Tfila, Dakati Gavra Lechazi. By Tfila, you're not yet roy to make the bracha because you're still Tameh. So become Tahar and then make a bracha. Meaning we're talking about Tfila's carry, right? So really Ezra was masakin that you should not make any brachas or any learning till you toivel. So you can't make the bracha before. So what do? You toivel first, right? And the l'chayra ger would be the same thing. Right, first become a yid and then make the bracha. Ela shofar my timer, but shofar how come? Why would you make a bracha after shofar? Maybe your tekiah is going to be no good. If that's the case, then shchita and mila also don't make the bracha before because how do you know your shchita and mila is going to be done? Right? No, so enochanami shofar we make before, which is what we do. And it just means except for Tvila, just Agav. How come you don't make a bracha on tzedakah? The main reason the Rishonim say you don't make a bracha when you give tzedakah is because how can you make the bracha? The guy might not take the tzedakah from you. I don't know who they had collecting back then, but that's what I think it's a Rashba that says it. So tzedakah you can't make a bracha on it.
We make a bracha. There's a bracha you make a beinadul l'chaver.
Is there any? Well, that's right. So that's part of it because you have no idea if and you have no idea.
Many tzedakah collectors told me that if they get like $100 from the big gvir, they give it back to them. They said we came for 1,000 or more.
Oh, there. Okay, that's okay. Very good. Very good. Very good.
What about time for challah? Why doesn't it mention that? I mean, I guess by the morning you the tamei tahar issue, but
very good. So very good. So
but nashim also make a bracha before.
So exactly. We'll have to get that. So let's see. Tanya nami hachi tova ba'ala itmar. I'm sorry. Chutz min atfila b'vad itmar, except for tefillah. Tanya nami hachi tova ba'ala. When somebody's tova, when he comes up, ba'aliyasei I'm a baruch Hashem. The Sham is mitzvos v'tzivanu al hatfila. Okay, we won't do this big taisus inside, but it sounds like, according to this, it's very clear that you make the bracha on tevilah after the mikva, which is the same reason why we make al netilas yadayim after we wash our hands. But in here, the taisus says that you should not be megar b'nashim that make the bracha achar tevilah, even though it's whatever it is, Tosfos goes through both stadim, whether tefillah we do before or after. The minig by the Svardim is they make the bracha before the tefillah. Ashkenazim like to they pull both ends. They dunk once, then they make the bracha, then they dunk again. Like this, you're getting everybody.
What about Kiddush on Friday night? What about Kiddush on Friday night? You make 2 brachas before you drink.
No, you're supposed to do it before.
Are you supposed to?
You're supposed to before, except for Tevila, we're saying not. Natilas Yadayim and Tevila, which is the same thing. That rather have the hands clean and then make it. But Lamaisa, even by Tevila, it became a big machlokes. It became a big machlokes. Okay, it's a little late, so I guess we'll stop over here.
What about Yadayim by Chala?
What do you mean? It's the same. It's the same concept that since you're washing for tahara, you might as well not make the bracha until after you know for sure that your hands are tar. That's the same. It's the same concept. Even though you're right, in the morning it makes more sense to make the bracha after the natila, but for bread not necessarily. Okay. Right? Yeah. So that's.
Doesn't Mishnah Berurah bring that it's still over las yason because part of the mitzvah is drying them?
Correct. That's why. Yes, that's true too. Part of the mitzvah is to dry them, which is why you're supposed to make the bracha natilas yadayim before you dry it. Even though push comes to shove, you can make the bracha natilas yadayim even after you dry it. Yeah. All right. Fine. Okay. It was a geshmak daf tonight. I hope we didn't keep anybody too late. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Around. Okay. Good tvach. I see my nephew's on that I'm here in Lakewood for the bar mitzvah. I want to give him a mazel tov to Punjab. You see him there. He did a fine job with his shtetl and his laning. He did a fine job. So
mazel tov.
Mazel.
Yeah. All right.
How do you like Lakewood? How do you like Lakewood? Gonna live there?
I'm headed on to the Garden State in a few minutes, so that will answer that.
That's it.
Punja, I'll send a dog later. Tell your mom it's from your uncle.
Okay. I don't know. In Lakewood, they don't fill their book.
I do happen to like Lakewood. If you don't want to see Corona, come to Lakewood. It does not exist. Although in my minion, there were 2 guys wearing masks. I have to say.
Yeah, just like Shayosha, guys wearing masks.
It was 6:45.
Were you one of them?
Morning,
Were you one of them?
No, it was 6:45. Social distance.
The 2 guys wearing masks had corona.
It's funny. There's one guy who was grata from Farakui who was davening outside, and he's related to somebody on this daf. And he was davening in the hallway with a mask. So either he has it or was exposed.
What was the point of going to shul then at all? You'd be davening in the hallway.
Laceness. That's why I don't know. I know.
It's Lakewood. You have to ask. It's Lakewood. Of course he's going to go to shul.
I'm not a bucky on Lakewood. I only went a handful of times, son.
You're good.
At least pick up Southside Sandwich Shop before you come in.
I should, but my niece got me ice cream. They said the best ice cream, so she got me
best
some
ice cream.
Yeah.
All right, good luck, everybody.
Anyways, all right, good luck, everybody.
Good luck.